2023. Is there a motion to open tonight's meeting? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. The meeting is hereby open. Trustee Patino is not present, and he is hereby excused from tonight's meeting. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. We're going to jump right into the public hearing. So is there a motion to open up tonight's public hearing? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor. Public hearing is hereby open. It's a hearing to consider a local law to amend the Dobbs Ferry zoning code to clarify the way to calculate the lot size. And since Building Inspector Dan Romer has approached the podium, I'll turn it over to him.
I just wanted to bring this in front of you. It's the code clarification for the building coverage, impervious coverage, and lot coverage. Or after you do like calculations for a steep slope, we have that in our code, that the building goes off the net size, not the gross size.
So could you just tell us in English, basic English, so that I could understand it, what exactly this means?
It means when you have a property and it has a steep slope on it, you do a deduction. It depends on 15%, 25%. And after you do that deduction, that'll give you your lot size. And it should give you your net lot size. Right now, it's a little confusing in the code. On the building coverage, it just says lot area. It doesn't say net lot area. So it should go off the net lot area. But if you're doing those reductions for the steep slope, if you didn't reduce the lot size or the building coverage, what would you do the reductions for the steep slope for? It's to protect the environmentally sensitive areas of the property.
That's what I really want to.
The village.
Right. Okay. So that we'd have the appropriate size building with those lots.
Yes, it fits that lot.
Okay.
It's mainly for the stormwater runoff.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is basically, it's a clarification of the language in the existing code. You agree with the planning board in their recommendation?
Correct, yes.
And as does the former building inspector who took the time to write the board?
Correct.
So, okay, thank you.
Is there any other explanation? So I understand we take the amount of lot that's at a certain grade and we reduce the lot size by a certain amount based on the grade.
Correct, depending on.
What is the other possible explanation for understanding the slopes and reducing the lot by some amount based on how steep the slope is, if not to create what we've now deemed potentially, if we pass this, a net lot area? What is it? What are other possible explanations for why when the code was written?
It's not changing the code at all. It's just clarifying it.
No.
I think it was always done like that under the net lot area when you do your reductions. It just wasn't written like that in the code.
Yeah, I'm just wondering from your perspective in the universe of lot code and defining buildable lot area, is there some other possible explanation of why we would have these steep slope calculations if not to affect the buildable lot size?
No, it's to reduce the lot size and building coverage and impervious coverage.
So for people who don't do this for a living, is it basically like the code was like a does business as, so it wasn't clear, but this is how everyone's been operating?
Correct.
Okay.
That's how the.
So this is to just add the word to make it clearer what like the company name is, so to speak. Okay.
Correct. Before in the code, it said like lot area. It didn't specifically say net lot area.
Right. But the building department, under your direction and under the previous building inspector, has been operating with those calculations as net
Correct.
up to this point. Okay.
But it was pointed out that it was unclear during a review or an appeal of a decision, and so that's why we are needing to clarify the code, correct?
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I just wanted to add also, it already has the word net in your dimensional tables. B1, B2, it uses the word net, so it really is just making it redundant by putting what's already in the table into the code. And also for clarification, there was a question, it would not apply retroactively. So the application in question, the zoning board has already ruled on that, so it would not apply retroactively. It would not require that application to come through again, because it's been through twice already. And they're at the architecture review board, so.
There was one other change to one of our tables, B6.
Yeah.
When it was originally printed, it was printed wrong, so it's just printed correctly now.
Yes, I did add that to this one, it's just housekeeping. It had some typos in it, so it's just to fix the typos.
The definitions were mixed in with like the zones.
Yes, and you can.
The abbreviation.
Yeah, you can see, that's in the second section of this. It has nothing to do with the calculations. It's just a housekeeping measure to fix something that's a typographical error that makes no sense when you read it.
Okay,
Sorry. Is there any impact to properties that are currently in the process of getting permits that,
It wouldn't change
Who's-
them in their
who's-
application. No, that's how we reviewed them all along.
so in a scenario where there is some dispute about whether the buildable lot size is what would in the future be called net and what is currently ambiguously being, or
Before
tie
it
goes
just
to the
said
runner and it goes, and this tie that goes to the runner is gross. What, does that have any impact on any projects that are in the pipeline of getting their building permits? Like how, if, let's say this local law, and maybe this is a question for Lori Lee.
Yeah, that's a Laura Lee question. So Laura Lee,
If this local law, if we adopt this local law, and there are any properties that currently have received, have passed planning and zoning board processes according to the previous definition in which the tie goes to the runner, so to speak, and we're using a gross area calculation, and those, and not all building permits and not all other permits have yet been secured, are those properties that are currently in the pipeline of getting their building permits secured affected by a change in the local law?
No, as I mentioned, the application where the ambiguity was pointed out is past the point where that would come into effect. And there are none in the process right now because it's just codifying the way it's been interpreted all along. And in some cases, some of the applications, it ended up being the gross area because there were no deductions for, there was an anomaly in a rock outcropping or something, but so it does not affect people who have a vested right already.
Okay, so I just want to be very clear that any current buildable lots that have already been through zoning and planning board processes and are currently seeking building permits will not be affected by this. This would go into effect for any properties that subsequently are going to planning and zoning.
Yes, it would
Okay.
clarify
One
that
was
which is already
ambiguous.
being.
It's past that point.
Yes, I don't know if there's potentially more than one.
No, it was just one and it's vested.
Thank you.
okay, any other questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the people, the public? Yes, Patty?
First, I want to say,
Who-
Patty
who-
Steinschneider, South Surrey, New York. I respect Dan, and I think he's trying to make sense out of something, but I also think he is wrong about a couple of things. And I appreciate what Laura Lee has said tonight, that it won't pertain to one project we're working on. But I think there are some things here that aren't really being taken into consideration, which I think are actually quite significant. The fact that any property right now, let's take, I gave you 6 neighborhoods. I picked a typical lot in those neighborhoods to show that a lot of those are properties. Let's say it's in an OF6, 5,000 square foot. It's a 5,500 square foot lot. They've got a nice house on it, about 1,400 square feet of coverage. It's completely compliant with the way it's been done. It has not been done on net, it's been done on gross. And right now, what will happen, if they've got steep slopes on their property, if they don't propose anything, I guess it doesn't make a difference. But if they're selling the house and somebody says, is this now compliant, and they really look at it, the answer will be no, it's not. If they want to do an addition, renovation, put a deck on the back of their house, they'll have to go to the zoning board. Dobbs Ferry is a hilly community with lots of lots that are sized approximately just a little bit more than what the minimum lot area was determined to be. The question about, is there any other reason in the code for this being there? Absolutely. It was 1989. It was specifically adopted to reduce the yield on subdivision projects which were being used to determine the number of condominium units you could do. I was there. I was after this, which Zero North Mountain Drive was the first property that was approved after the adoption of steep slopes. After that ordinance was adopted in September, they actually held this application off until October. So it was the first project that was done that had the steep slopes applied. We don't know how they came up with their numbers, because their numbers actually didn't make any sense. But that's another thing. The next thing on the agenda was Livingston Ridge, which was a project that I was working on. And we were told, even though we had approvals already, because we hadn't started construction, we were going to have to do the steep slopes deduction, and we did. We went through all that agonizing redesign so that we could increase the number of units from the 22 we proposed and was approved to the 24 that would comply with the code. The fact that you're going to affect all these other properties in town, I think is something that really needs to be studied. I think that could have an impact. I know people sitting up here who have properties that would no longer be considered, compliant, because if they took the steep slopes deduction, they would be over the coverage. When we talk about this being vague, I agree. Some of it was vague because it didn't say net or gross, but the definition of impervious surface area says a percentage of the gross lot area. It wasn't confused, but what no one took into consideration back in 2010 was the fact we needed to put that extra word there, either net or gross. It should have been gross. It should not have been net, and I think it's a mistake to change this. Thank you.
Laura Lee, could you comment on what Patty said as far as if someone wanted now, if they had a structure that would not be considered compliant today and they wanted to modify that structure, would that sort of be grandfathered in, or what?
Yeah, it would be pre-existing non-conforming.
Right.
Yes, and it would only be affected, as I tried to explain before, it's not, you're vested. So it's simply codifying something of the way that it's been interpreted. In 2010, they actually repealed the entire zoning code and adopted a new zoning. And it, up to this point, it didn't arise as a question, and it was only until an application came in and then they looked at it. Unfortunately, he'd already gone to the zoning board, came back, so the zoning board asked for this clarity, that you also have a recommendation from your zoning board chair who indicates that the word gross should be taken out of the other provision, but you can cross that bridge at some later date, because he says that's vague as well. He thinks that the definition should be the same. But again, I point out that in your actual dimensional tables, it says net.
Okay.
So, and that's the way it's been
I don't think you're
applied.
answering the question.
So if someone comes in and wants to put an addition on their house, yes, they'll need to meet the code.
Okay, so that, the answer is that they would be limited in terms of what
It's a
they could do.
pre-existing non-conforming, yeah, so they
Right.
would have to come in and seek.
They'd
that
have to get a
variance.
variance if they wanted to put a deck on the house.
Okay. That was the question.
So this draft only addresses the building height impact of this steep slope, not the lot coverage, right?
No,
It applies to the lot area, the net lot area. It doesn't apply, as Patty has explained, the word gross appears in the other definition.
Right.
In the
That
definition.
I understand. I'm just looking at this
Perfect.
table that's in the draft law.
That table is unrelated to the question at hand.
Okay, so
Table's just,
would you be so kind as to direct us to where so I'm assuming in the code, there's a chart that
Appendix B,
says.
Table B1 and B2. Actually,
which is not in our packets, right?
no, it's in the code. Dan pointed it out to me today when I was speaking to him, so I thought it was important for me to copy it so I understood where, because it is confusing, because it's two different places.
So is this table also
That
going
table
to be
would-
updated?
That table would have to be updated if you were to choose not to adopt the changes that clarify.
So this table conforms to the proposed,
Yes,
Law.
already
I see.
conforms
Thank
to the
you.
proposed and to the apparent approach from the last two building inspectors.
Okay, so
I
just,
don't
so
know any
we-
more than that.
right, so just so we're clear, the last two building inspectors have interpreted it as net. The table specifically says net, so all we're going to, I don't say all, but we're going to add the word net in the statute itself to clarify it further. Correct?
Yes, but Dan can speak to it too, yes. He said the wording in the draft was ambiguous, so Peter Hoffman, your chair, asked that it be clarified, because if a zoning code is ambiguous, case law says it should go against the drafter of the code, so that was the interpretation, and that's the approval given by the zoning board chair on that active
Okay.
application.
Anybody else want to speak? Come on up.
I'm actually here for another thing.
Oh, wait, we're just talking about this.
Yeah, no, I have some.
Oh, you're here for something else, but you want to talk about this?
Yeah, this
Got it.
is unplanned. My name is Cyrus Manduabi, 27 Main Street, Duxbury, New York. I can't help to think that this is just an antiquated approach to things. I guess in 1989, when these laws were enacted, there wasn't the innovation, there wasn't the technology, there wasn't the ingenuity that there is today. I think that if the engineering and environmental impacts are mitigated, I don't see why reducing lots makes any sense. As a design professional, we look at the code, and the more stringent the codes are, the more creative we have to be to, provide our clients with what they're looking for. I said, in practicality, the cost budgets are what's going to control the projects. If someone wants to invest all this money into our community, why not? Increased property values increases revenue for our community, and it reduces the need for increasing taxes. And that's really my big push. Because like I said, if someone wants to invest all this money, why should we stop them?
We actually, go ahead. I was going to say, we talked about this at the workshop last time when this was first mentioned, and what we're doing tonight, or at least what I'm comfortable doing tonight, is conforming to how the building inspector does it, and then we committed to looking at if there's alternative ways to deal with the steep slope property issues that are unique to Dobbs Ferry, and if this is the best way going forward, or if there's an alternative way that will work with the building department and our I can't think of, our planning expert, to see, and then we're gonna revisit it. But for now, we really can't have ambiguous language in the code as far as I'm concerned. The building inspector has to be able to have clear delineation, and people coming in for a plan need to understand what lot area means. And this conforms to the way it's been done.
And if it's not already added to the code, it could be in this next iteration. And you would probably have an opportunity, and it sounds like you have expertise to provide some input when it is being considered, but presumably if a homeowner can demonstrate mitigants that, dry wells, other things to offset the lack of impervious surface, that they would be able to get some kind of a variance or approval.
Okay, anybody else from the public? Anybody else on,
If I'm not speaking out of turn, I don't know if there's other people virtually, but my name is Kristen Wilson. I represent the property owner of 0 North Mountain Drive. We've been before your planning and zoning boards for almost the past year, and we are certainly probably the subject property that has brought this issue to the forefront. And I just had a few procedural questions, really, and Lori Lee, thank you if you clarified the effectiveness of this local law or to what properties it would apply. But really just in terms of adopting a zoning amendment, I'm not sure whether or not the Board of Trustees as lead agency under seeker, if you have filled out, if there's an environmental assessment form has been drafted, a short form, I believe this would be
It's in the record, yeah, and we can't close tonight because we're waiting for the 239 referral to come back from the county. So I was going to get to that after we took all the comments, but they're going to keep the public hearing open tonight. They have to because they can't act tonight without having received comments from the County Planning Commission.
Okay, so you took away my next question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's great. Makes it quicker and simpler. The other question I had was whether or not the coastal assessment form had been filled out and if it had been referred to the planning board under your LWRP process, and if the planning board provided any comments back and if those were part of the public record, or perhaps it's still within that 30-day time frame as well.
The planner unfortunately couldn't be with us tonight, so I'll double check with her to see where that process is as well. But I know we have the EAF forms. Actually, I sent them later last week, because the mayor, of course, will need to sign those, and a secret determination will need to be made. A classification and determination will be made in any action taken.
Okay, so all that will take place, I guess, at your next, or I guess after the 30 days has expired from the county. So perhaps at your next meeting? Or in 2 meetings, depending on when the county comes back?
When the statute of limitations runs for the 239 referral to the county.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Those were my procedural questions. Other than that, I think Patty has addressed substantively the concerns.
Could
Patty,
you,
because you have such knowledge and expertise, you'll come up again.
sorry, before we proceed, Lori Lee, could you please, in English for those of us who didn't understand what just happened, explain what just happened?
Sure. All zoning amendments are required by General Municipal Law, Section 239, to be referred to the county for comments. Other items, site plans of certain size, but zoning amendments specifically go to the county, and they have a 30-day window to return comments based upon a full application. So the EAF is sent to them, the local law is sent to them, and in the case of a site plan, an application is sent to them. So we're waiting. We didn't receive it, and the statute says it's a jurisdictional defect if you were to take action without first allowing the 30 days to run or having received the comments back. They have not been received yet.
Okay, so we can't actually vote on this tonight?
You cannot take action. It's a jurisdictional defect for you to take action.
Okay, Patty.
Yeah, just along those same lines, in the past, it's always been a thing in Dobbs that any change to the code goes to the planning board and gets their input. Is that not being done in this case? Because I would think it would be useful. I actually thought it was a state code that if you have a planning board, you have to have it review any change of the zoning ordinance.
It actually is in the state law. It isn't a mandatory. The mandatory referrals to the county.
But certainly we could, if
We have time, we could get their input. I thought that it was that, but I guess
Yeah,
I
I thought it was. I
misspoke.
thought that's what-
It may have been the ZBA who wrote to us.
ZBA, it was
Yeah.
Peter Hoffman at the ZBA.
Well, I mean, we're going to put it over for 2 weeks anyway, at least, so if you want to, we could send it to the planning board for their opinion.
Yeah.
That'd be
Sure.
great.
Okay. Right, Ben. Do I have to make a motion to send it to the planning board, Laura Lee, or?
No, I can check with Valerie to see where we are in that process, and you just need to make a motion to adjourn to a date certain, that's all, and then you won't need to renotice anything.
Okay.
If you've received all the comments.
July 11th.
Okay, so based upon the advice from our council advising us that we cannot take any definitive action tonight, is there a motion to adjourn this public hearing to July 11th, 2023 at 7:30? Trustee Rosen Asher, second trustee Taylor, all in favor. This public hearing is now adjourned to that July 11th date. Thank you. Let's move on to courtesy of the floor. Does anybody here want to speak on courtesy of the floor? It's going to be you, I guess, the only one up. Before you go, I want to see if there's anybody else. Anybody else? Anybody else online? All yours. Who are you again?
My name is Saras Mianduabi, 27 Main Street, Civil Engineering. I still have some issues with this parking enforcement, parking laws. One of the parking enforcement officers came into the office today, about to write me a ticket, and I have explained to him that I will be coming here until the laws are changed. The south of Chestnut needs to have different laws for business owners. I don't typically like to ask for exceptions to the rules, but it just doesn't suit my business. It doesn't suit public safety. It doesn't suit, a multitude of reasons, and I can, draft a memo or a letter if that's what you like, but for me to be able to functionally run a business for my constituents and my fellow business owners in that area to run their businesses, we need to have parking. Walking half a mile in snow, rain, whatever have you, is not the
So,
solution.
I think would be helpful if you could write something in detail and listing the other businesses that are also affected by it and what you
Yeah.
think would be appropriate. I'm not saying we'll definitely do that, but this is, again, it's a work in and we want this to work, so.
But I will add that we used to get a lot of complaints about split neck plumbing and them taking up almost all of those parking spots and not being able to have residents or other people who wanted to go to stores or shops down there park. And so
Yeah.
as you're thinking about that, I would take that into consideration because that's the same area you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the only two lots that have parking is Scaparato's and Plinick. Those are the only two businesses. So really, for me to be able to work 8 hours, 10 hours, however many hours I work a day, I can't, I'd be more than happy to donate $20 a day for parking, but, that's not the solution. And I think that, with all of our, concerted efforts, we can come to a resolution.
Yeah, we want it to work for everybody. So, if you write something, and give us some suggestions and what other businesses, we'll take a look at it and see what we can do.
And then I don't know if you had a chance to review that email that I sent about the local law inspections, facades, but I'd appreciate some input.
I haven't seen it.
You have it?
We got an email with the, was it chapter 11? Not chapter 11.
Local
wrong
law 11.
chapter.
Local law 11.
Local law 11.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I certainly received the email. I think we all did. I don't know if anybody had a chance to,
Did you see that? That was not forwarded to you, Dan? No, it should be.
Yeah.
It just addressed the facades, particularly in the downtown, and were they safe and what, so maybe if you could give that some thought, and perhaps the two of you could chat. And
We'll talk, but just to reiterate the point, maintenance is always easier and more cost efficient than, than replacement.
one other thought, while we evaluate longer-term solutions, if further up the tree streets, you can park for longer than directly in the downtown. That's not as far.
Okay.
I think you said last time you come and go, But if you go up past where the meters or the park
Yeah,
mobile is,
even if it's on Livingston, but even Livingston's a 2-hour, I believe that everywhere is a 2-hour limit. regardless.
Broadway, what's the parking on Broadway?
Broadway, I don't think has a limit.
Again, I'm not saying it's a long-term solution, but
Yeah.
just in the meantime, to avoid
Yeah, to
tickets.
bridge the gap.
And if you don't want to go all the way to 99 Cedar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sending this.
Anybody else? Anybody online? Okay. Let's move to the resolutions. Tonight, we have a couple of personnel resolutions. So the first one is to consider a resolution to appoint Sean Bucci as road maintenance foreman for the village of Dobbs Ferry in the salary of $102,757,000. The Public Works Superintendent has recommended this position. We've discussed it. And is there a motion to make this change? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor? That passes unanimously, and we'd like to thank Mr. Bucci for his service. Since you're here, do you want to say anything? You could talk in 1 minute, Sean.
We'll see if anyone complains about the roads on your way out of here, actually. You may get stopped by somebody.
I'd just like to say thank you to all who helped with this. It's been a long time coming, and this allows me to help the men on the highway to learn and serve the village better down the road. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the second action item is to appoint Mark Lester as the lead maintenance mechanic. So is there a motion to appoint Mark Lester as lead maintenance mechanic sanitation for the village of Dobbs Ferry at a salary of $102,757? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Congratulations. You took longer than Sean, or?
But under 3 minutes.
No, thank you. Just want to thank you, Mr. Mayor and trustees and Jen, and Stephen. Thank you for the opportunity. You know, I'm one of 9 guys, you know, and we set out each morning with one common goal, and that's just to keep Dobbs Ferry clean. You know, we take pride in what we do. I take pride in everything I do, and I appreciate this opportunity. And just want to say thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Stephen, why don't we do a quick picture with you, Sean, and Mark right up here? Try not to block me, okay, Sean?
Good luck, Vinny.
Steve, no, Steve.
You want us to stand?
Maybe we should stand.
Maybe we'll stand.
I'm so short that it's,
There we go.
Okay.
thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're flying through, man.
Congratulations.
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 Good job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Is there a motion to authorize a budget transfer to fund the salary adjustment for DPW General Foreman Stephen Trezor? As part of creating those titles, we also have an adjustment to the salary of the General Foreman, which was discussed since he is the head of the department overseeing the new form and titles. And as a result of that, we've decided, or we're going to decide to provide a $5,000 additional to his salary to cover the increase in his salary. So is there a motion? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes unanimously. So there you go, Stephen. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys do a great job. We appreciate everything that you guys do. So thank you for your hard work. We appreciate it. And you don't have to stay any longer. If you're
We're not telling you to leave.
If you're going,
I was gonna say, I would leave
if you're going to leave,
Yeah.
now's the time
Yeah,
to do
now's
it.
the time.
All right, action item number 4 is something that we discussed in the workshop, so I don't know if it doesn't need to have further discussion on it. But is there a resolution authorizing the fire department to go out to bid for battery-operated extrication tools? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 5 is to consider a resolution awarding the contract for summer camp buses to Royal Coach Lines as recommended by the Superintendent of Recreation. Superintendent is here tonight. She's provided information on that. I don't know if we have any questions. Now's the time we could ask Kendra those questions. Anybody have any questions?
So the costs are covered by the tuition for the camp, so it's not, okay, that's it.
For the record, the superintendent has shaken her head yes.
That's nodded.
Nodded,
A shake is a no, a nod is a
Yes,
yes.
she's nodded yes. Thank you. So is there a motion
Sorry, I have a question.
for authorizing?
Sorry to. So obviously I believe if I'm understanding you correctly, we're more than doubling the expenditure on the buses this year from last year.
Kendra, come on up since you have serious questions and answers now.
Sorry, Al. Hi, Kendra. And so we have, I understand that we're covering our costs. Is this going to lead to a reduction in any projected revenue for the camp or the camps, or can you help us understand a little bit more how this fits into the overall budget impact?
So we took in additional kids for camp, so it won't have no impact on our revenue.
No, they added a second teen camp bus instead of just one because there was overflow.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so
I answered it for her, Liz, since you couldn't hear her.
okay, so is there a motion to award the contract for summer camp buses to Royal Coach Lines in the amount not to exceed $76,000? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 6 is to consider a resolution authorizing the interim village administrator to sign and execute an agreement to purchase a fixed-site license plate reader and associated software. Richard, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, right. So the village was given, as a result of its past efforts for energy savings and sustainability, to have the opportunity for a $5,000.
No, we're talking about the
License
plate
reader.
What's that?
The license plate reader.
Oh, the license plate. Sorry about that. I was jumping ahead.
I know, we're all eager.
Sorry about
I'm
that.
done. Let's go home.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'll back up to the license. Well, actually, I mean, the chief is here too, but
Chief, you
perhaps
want to talk about it?
I think he's probably more appropriate. I was a little
I
off topic.
should have realized that, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. Yeah, this item was discussed during the 23-24 fiscal planning for this current budget. This is a fixed-site license plate reader that we're looking to add to a location in the village. We're just trying to, we've had some issues in one particular area that we're just looking to help our law enforcement abilities. I was in touch with Westchester County Police with the real-time crime in an effort to share services as well as information sharing. They had recommended this particular manufacturer, Recore, for 2 cameras. This would be a sole source purchase. It will sync with the Westchester County real-time crime at the Westchester County Police Headquarters once it's up and operational. So this money was allocated in the 200 budget line of the police department. I also anticipated the operating costs within our maintenance fund line to cover the the annual costs for the data collection, et cetera.
This-
Just seeking permission for the gym administrator to sign off and make this purchase.
I'm okay with that, but would the license plate reader cover Waterfront Park on the weekends?
No, this is
How do we make that happen?
This is a separate license plate reader, so this is specific. Does not move, it will be fixed
Oh.
at a location, unlike the mobile ones.
So do the mobile ones that we already bought
Correct. That's,
cover the Waterfront? Is there some license plate reader covering Waterfront Park?
Just rephrasing her question.
There is not.
How do we fix that? That's something you don't have to answer that on the fly, but that's something I'd like you to consider.
I'm sorry, but but for parking enforcement, isn't there a license plate reader being used at
That
Waterfront
is
Park?
in the process. We are doing a lot of back end for the mobile
Who's going
license
to,
plate.
yeah.
parking.
I know.
Yes.
This is not a parking enforcement
This is
mobile
not. This
license
is
plate.
This isn't parking
Correct.
enforcement. This
No,
is
this one I know, but I asked if the other ones we have cover the parking there, and he said no.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But we've already paid for ones that will?
Yes, we
Oh,
have.
that's what I was
Yeah,
asking.
that's the mobile one.
Sorry, that's what I was asking. I don't need you to come back now. You answered it
So
correctly.
where is this going?
I can't tell you.
He doesn't want
I
to tell you.
can't tell you. It's not for public.
It's like CCTV and all those British crime shows.
Yes, I think it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So is there a motion to authorize the interim village administrator to sign an agreement for a fixed license plate reader not to exceed the amount of $21,100? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes
I have my
unanimously.
own.
You're welcome. Okay, action item number 7 is to consider a resolution to authorize the $5,000 climate change. You want to talk about that, Richard?
Okay, that would be resolution number 7. So as a result of the village's success in its sustainability efforts and energy smart program that it's been pursuing for several years, was given an opportunity to apply for a $5,000 Climate Smart Communities Grant, which is what this resolution is authorizing to happen. And in the workshop recently, you considered a number of alternatives, and conclusion has been to pursue a food scrap outreach awareness initiative, which will be initiated and pursued by the DPW.
Okay, so I'd like to thank specifically Jennifer for doing the letter, so thank you very much. And I appreciate everyone's efforts and their input in this. And we have signed the letter and sent the letter, I assume, right? So is there a motion to author?
Just, if I can say one thing very quickly, I think it's terrific how well you guys are working with the Sustainability Task Force. I think it's helping get a lot of things done that would be impossible without, your enthusiastic support. So thank you.
So is there a motion to authorize the Village of Dobbs Ferry to apply for a $5,000 Clean Energy Communities Grant through NYSERDA for community outreach regarding food scrap recycling? Trustee Taylor, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and thank you again for all your efforts. Yes. Action item number 8 is to consider a resolution authorizing the interim village administrator to enter into an agreement to accept reimbursement funding from FEMA for Hurricane Ida debris removal project. Richard, do you want to speak to this?
Okay, thank you. And I'm happy to defer to Jen on this. She's been working very hard, working with FEMA, and we actually have funds that are ready to be deposited, so I'm going to ask her to update.
So this one specifically was for town-wide debris removal. So basically during Ida, when all the garbage men had to go out and pick up all of the stuff that was emptied out of everybody's house that flooded, we were able to get reimbursed for their time and the cost to dispose of those, I think it was $33,000. Off the top of my head.
$33,117.84 as I read it here.
Yes. So now this is just to have Richard sign it to get the reimbursement.
That's great.
Great
Fabulous.
work.
Thank you
Great
so
job.
much.
So,
Excellent.
is there a motion to accept this money? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
And the last action item, if I remember correctly, is a resolution to consider approving the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer. Is there a motion to accept that? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. That's it. So, before I turn it over to the trustee liaison reports, I have an announcement, I guess, from EPW. It's pretty long, but I'll read it anyway, about the milling and paving throughout the village. So you might have noticed, depending on where you live, that some work is being done. So as of today, milling was done in the lower, correct me if I read this wrong, please. Milling was done in the lower Hilldale Road from Briary Road to the dead end, and milling was done on Beacon Hill Drive from Ashford Avenue to Castle Hill Close. Tomorrow, the milling will be done on Castle Hill Close from Beacon Hill Drive to the dead end, and from Beacon Hill Drive from Castle Hill Close to Round Hill Road. On Thursday, paving will start on Lower Hilldale Road from Briary Road to the dead end, and paving will start on Beacon Hill Drive from Ashford Avenue to Castle Hill Close. Paving will also happen on Castle Hill Close from Beacon Hill Drive to the dead end. On Friday, paving on Beacon Hill Drive from Castle Hill Close to Round Hill Road will occur. And on July 3rd, milling will occur on High Ridge Road at the top of Round Hill Road from Beacon Hill to Ridge Road, and milling will occur from Ridge Road down to High Ridge Road to Round Hill Road. On July 5th, paving will be on High Ridge Road from Beacon Hill to Ridge Road. And paving will go on from Ridge Road, from High Ridge Road to Round Hill Road. And paving will occur also on Beacon Hill from High Ridge Road to Ogden Avenue. This will happen from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are no parking signs are posted throughout the area, so please obey those no parking signs, and we appreciate your patience while this project is completed. It'll really make that area, those roads, much better than they have been, and we look forward to having much smoother roads in those parts of town, so thank you for that. I also want to read what's happening for our
Go ahead.
150th celebration.
Come on.
Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial, yes, you
Okay.
got it.
On June 30th, we are doing Dine Out Dobbs from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The streets of downtown Dobbs, Cedar and Main will be closed to eat out at local restaurants, partake in the Rivertown's Chamber Bar Trivia Crawl, and listen to live music. On July 1st, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., we have Love Downtown Dobbs. The day to celebrate our small businesses and local organizations. You should visit downtown Dobbs Ferry for food tours, pop-up shopping, sidewalk sales, kids' activities, community tables, and music. Also on that day, from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., we have the carnival at Waterfront. Come down to Waterfront Park, Dobbs Ferry Waterfront for a weekend-long carnival with rides, games, and carnival food. So that's going to happen July 1st, July 2nd, and July 3rd. And I'm told they already start putting the stuff down there, right? So that's already starting. We're having the Soapbox Derby from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on July 2nd. This is an exciting gravity-powered race that will have you zooming down Main Street in your homemade soapbox car. Have we sold out all the soapboxes, or we still have openings? We still have openings. They're going fast, I'm told. So please be sure to.
It's not too late for you, Mayor.
That's right, for me to build a soapbox. You're right. Actually, Mike Patino told me he's been working on his for 2 weeks, so I don't know how we're going to do.
He's just been standing on it.
We have the ice cream party on July 3rd. It's $1.50 ice cream party from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Come join us at the Yard and Memorial Park for an intergenerational ice cream party that's sure to be a blast. Jimmy's Soft Serve will be serving up the treats for $1.50. While enjoying your ice cream, listen to the beats of the Milton Bands and enjoying the petting zoo. And on 4th of July, we have the Thomas Cullen Picnic in the park and fireworks. The picnic will start at 3 p.m. We will have salute to the flag, we'll have elected officials present, and Rooney's DJ that will be there starting at 3 o'clock with the music. And then stay tuned for the fireworks, which will start after 9 o'clock. And the carnival will go on at 12 o'clock on July 4th. So we have the carnival July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And this is posted on our website and Facebook page. So be sure to check it out and be sure to attend. Having said all that, Trustee Galen, it's up to you. Why don't you talk about the Diggs grant as well?
Oh, sure. Well, maybe Trustee Taylor should.
Well, you want to talk about the Diggs grant? Or do you want
We can both talk about the Diggs grant. There's a lot of work that went in across the village. A lot of the village staff worked on this. Valerie was very involved, some of the trustees, and
Downtown Committee and the
Downtown Committee.
Chamber of Commerce.
And some volunteers also from the village worked on a very special grant that's new to Westchester County, put on by the county executive. And Dobbs was selected for a $250,000 grant to implement recommendations that are going to be made by a group of professional planners who have a lot of experience in urban planning for small towns. Did I say it right, Jess?
That was perfect. Yeah, so this is a pilot program. We're one of 5 municipalities that were selected. The planning firm themselves made the selection, so it was really an honor to get the award, and I know we're all hopeful that this will be this kind of kickoff to a really fantastic set of research and investment in our downtown vitality and everything that a more vibrant downtown can support. Otherwise, in terms of other updates.
One last thing.
Yes.
That this grant will also work in conjunction with the Downtown Advocate, who we are in the process of trying to identify and hire, which was paid for by our local development company. All those things should work together, the possibility of really transforming our downtown and really revitalizing it in a way that's going to be very special.
Absolutely. And the Downtown Committee is supporting all of the great work that the Rec Department and the Chamber have put into the events for this weekend. So we really, really hope that we'll see everyone out, especially, supporting all of the events, but the Downtown Committee especially is focused on the dining out event on Friday, as the Mayor mentioned, and the supporting the Downtown Day on Saturday. And they both should be fabulous. So hope to see you there.
Sure. The traffic committee met since our last meeting. We talked about various issues, congestion on Clinton, Price Street, things that are going to be on our upcoming agendas. So it's always, and we also got to welcome 2 new members to the traffic committee. So we are sort of back up to a fight and strength for a lot of the conversation and expertise that is being brought to bear on traffic safety and movement through Dobbs Ferry.
Cool.
I don't have anything, but the rec department put on a sip and paint and sip at the yard that looked really successful. So keep looking out for cool events at the yard in Memorial Park.
I think tomorrow is trivia night, which I went to last week, and I have to say it was a lot of fun.
I missed the week the mayor was there and I could have beat him.
Could she have beat me?
My team could have.
Ah.
My team could have,
Okay.
not me.
Jerry.
The Human Rights and Diversity Committee has decided to extend the deadline of the survey that they're doing village-wide, because we know that we're going to have a ton of people out and about for the sesquicentennial celebrations. So if you have not filled out the survey, please do so. You could do it online, you could do it on paper, you could pick them up anywhere around, but they're really trying to get some good data that they will then present to the board when it's collected.
And Larry, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, since there's nothing further.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask a question. Routinely, these centennial celebrations, the mayor dresses up in period dress to go to these events. I wondered if there was,
Is there a resolution?
I think that's.
Well poised, well poised.
Do I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Steven suggested that I do the water dunk tank, dunk the mayor, but.
Ooh, yes, please. What time is that happening?
We're not doing that.
I'm thinking like top hat, little ascot.
Okay, Lori.
Okay, I just wanted to take a second, as it's the season where a lot of families' homes are displaying the American flag, just to note that there are certain protocols about, that should be followed when a flag needs to be retired. And according to the U.S. flag code, the flag, when it is in such condition that is no longer a fitting emblem of display, should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning. So this is just a reminder, if anybody has an American flag that needs to be retired, they may drop it off at our DPW facility, and the flag will be retired as needed in accordance with the U.S. flag code. I don't have a problem with that. Flag code.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to close tonight's meeting? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor. Meeting is hereby closed.